We bring you a little, I always say self-help, insights really, into life in general. Give you the information you need. As I always say, information to make well-informed decisions. But sometimes you need a little help, really. And it's just that help that Regional Psychological Services can provide for you. But we get just a little insight with our good friend Dr. John Braccio. And what's up, Doc? What is up, Doc? Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Mike. And today we're talking about people pleasers. And these are people that are generally liked because they're so ready to bend to the will of others and agree to do things they really don't want to do but feel they have to do in order to be liked and accepted. Well, people pleasers are often very friendly, open, but, they often have problems saying no. They're afraid to present their own views because they might offend someone. As a result, they're always agreeing with others. The classic problem, of course, is that they'll say yes to things they have no business doing in spite of their own responsibilities. And they say yes because they don't want to offend people, and they feel they need to do this in order to be liked. They want to be liked. Trying to accommodate people and do things to be helpful, these are good characteristics. The problem occurs when you almost become invisible psychologically because your goal of pleasing others eliminates your views. This means, somebody with strong views on religion, politics, the best color for a house, the best car, or anything they may believe strongly, the people pleaser will find themselves agreeing, whatever the opinion is. The problem is people pleaser may have completely different views but feel they really should not say them. People pleasers also take blame for when someone's unhappy or having a difficult time. It's the things that have nothing to do with them. People pleasers often grew up in an environment where they were fearful of consequences, Mike, or emotional abuse, if they had opinions different from their parents, guardians, or people who looked after them. The problem there, again, is that this continues long after they're children, and it goes well into their adulthood. So the problem, of course, continues, and this really doesn't help at all. And poor self-esteem is often the result, because you're really fearful of presenting your own views and you hide your own feelings. So it's really a tough thing. Typical characteristics of people pleasers are they go along with whatever other people are saying around them. They agree to things they may not agree with at all. They're willing to accept the blame and apologize for other people's problems. They'll change their personality like a chameleon, actually, an outlook based on who they're talking to. So you can imagine how this can cause a problem if you get two people you've agreed with all along the way. You have totally different views, and there you are as a third person. All of a sudden, oops, who's this guy we're talking to or this gal? So now negative outcomes for the people pleaser, not caring for themselves emotionally, tend to have low self-esteem because their self-esteem depends on others. They can have tremendous resentment because they're not able to present their views. They become really psychologically invisible, Mike. I mean, they have an inner critic also that's attacking them all the time, that they're doing things wrong and they have to try harder. So what do you do? What do you do if you're a frustrated people pleaser? Well, you can recognize, you have to really change your outlook on life. You have to decide, what are you going to do? You have to decide you're going to change it. You have to develop positive affirmations about what a good person you are, and you don't have to just go along with everyone else. You have to do cognitive restructuring, where you replace negative thoughts with positive ones. And as we've talked before, that's a hard thing to do. Yeah. Seek out close friends and family who recognize you have this problem, have them support you, and be aware you're going to get attacked. These people that you've always been saying yes to and you'll do whatever they want, they're not going to like when all of a sudden you stand up for yourself, and they're going to say, golly, what got into Chucky or Mary or whatever. But then you have to recognize no is a legitimate word, that you can say it. There's really nothing wrong with that word. Recognize your responsibilities are real, and you got to take care of yourself. Turn off that inner critic that's there saying you're not doing enough and you have to do whatever people want. Seek out, if need be, a trained therapist who can help you kind of go through these really kind of treacherous waters of all of a sudden psychologically standing up for yourself, because it's been hard if you haven't been doing that for a long time. Now, I might add, the goal here is not for you to become a selfish person. No, the goal is for you to really take into account your own needs in life Because ultimately, really, a person, you want emotional freedom, Mike. You want to recognize you're a frustrated people pleaser, and just you're going to take control of your own emotional well-being. And this is hard for people that have spent a lifetime just saying yes and being dutiful and doing what other people want, regardless of their own needs. So, if this is you, not you, of course, but using the plural we, then this is the time to change and take control of your own life and be nice, be helpful, be the good person, but don't be the people pleaser that just goes along with whatever anybody wants. That's not a good way to live a life.
Yeah, and you alluded to this early on in your talk here, is that this probably starts early in life, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It's usually the persons grow up, and for whatever the reason, they maybe out of fear or just trying to get along, they just go along with everything. You know, and they can be punished or given a hard time if they don't. And just controlling persons often create this situation in the person. Then you just kind of get into that role, and they fall into it. And some people do that for a lifetime. But many they become bitter or upset because they become this chameleon. They just have to go along with everything, and they can become very passive aggressive because they won't confront you with things. So they'll kind of do things indirectly or behind your back, call it what you will. But it's a tough situation to be in if you're just there agreeing all the time, because then you become invisible. Who are you? You know, like if someone comes to you and says you've got to think this way if you're going to be an intelligent person. Yeah, that makes sense. If somebody comes along and says, you just the reverse. They say to you, you can't think that way if you're going to be an intelligent person. I guess that's right. So there you are. Well, there are people like this, Mike. You've known them too.
Oh yeah, we've run into them.
They're out there.
So the person who is a people pleaser, they've grown up like this way all their life, and they can't figure out why they can't. They feel like something's off or whatever. I don't know what the maybe you can speak to that, what the effects are in this person. But they're like, in my mind, I see it as like their hands are tied. They're not really able to grow as a person, right? Their hands are literally sort of emotionally tied behind their back. What happens when you snip those ties, you bring it to their attention, and you give them the tools to deal? Do they then have a danger of swinging the other way and become a controlling person?
Well, I haven't really seen that happen, but potentially you could become a selfish person. You could just say, no. You could do that. I think the main thing is trying to get a person to just stand up for themselves and just realize that they can't. They can't. Like if you're in a family or in a work situation, you can't just be the one overwhelmed all the time. Often they will go to a therapist or they'll talk to a minister or somebody of friends, and we'll sit down and have a talk with them and just say, hey, you really have to get control of your own life, and control is not allowing other people to make your decisions for you or making you do things. It's kind of like even at work, it can be the person there can be 5 people working or 10 people, but one does 1/3 of the work, because they always know they won't say no. So often it'll come to the point where the person, like, they just get so overwhelmed in life, they can't go on. I mean, without having severe emotional distress, and it becomes too much. Because remember, there's low self-esteem often. The person thinks in order for them to be a liked person, they have to go along with people. They have to help them. They have to agree with them. And so they become like a chameleon. They have to take on these different personalities, or they have to agree with these things. And it can be very lonely and very difficult, because you can look in the mirror and say, who is that person that I'm seeing here? Because they don't really have a chance to develop. But if the person really decides they're going to, and they work with it, and they have friends, family, therapists, whatever it might be, helping them, they can move forward. But believe it or not, it's very hard to change when your whole self-image relates to how others see you, and you feel that by being a people pleaser, you're doing the right thing, and you just kind of get in this circle of never being yourself, never allowing yourself to become who you can become.
Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services, East Lansing. If you find yourself in this, maybe we've opened your eyes today to something. Look into it, look into yourself, and get some help. Doc, we're up on time as always. It's always too short a time with you. Dr. John Braccio. I appreciate it, though. Thanks a lot.
You're a champion. Talk to you later, buddy. Bye-bye.
See you, pal. Bye.